A new day, a new world. Come join me on this adventure through a fantasy realm filled with new biomes, mobs, and bosses, dungeons that stretch into the sky. Follow my journey from a simple farmer to the ultimate warrior. This world is filled with danger, but also beauty. Minecraft just keeps getting better and better. This would be my toughest challenge yet, but I had never played Minecraft quite like this. Prepare yourselves, because this is 100 Days of Fantasy Minecraft. This mod pack includes an all-new combat system, so one of my goals would be to level up and become powerful enough to face a dragon. Second, I will get all netherite gear, and lastly, build the ultimate redstone base. I wanted to make the best 100 days video that I can make, so I spent over 40 hours in this world. Before we get started, I just want to thank all of you that watch and support my channel. I'm glad we could share these memories together. Enjoy! Day one in this new world, and I was already in awe of its beauty. I was excited to head out and explore this world and find a good spot to make my base. There were so many choices, it was hard to pick the pumpkin plains or the mountains with these lovely pink trees. But I eventually found some plains that would be perfect for a huge base, which is what I wanted to build, as this world would be more deadly than any that I've played in before. But I didn't have too much time to explore. I didn't want to be caught out at night, so here is where I would make my base. So I made my beginner tools and gathered some food because I was already hungry. This hole in the ground would make for a perfect base as the sun was setting. I didn't have much time. I quickly cleared it out and went to gather some wool to make my bed. I got some food as well and cooked those up. During the night, I was able to mine some coal to make some torches. By day 2, I had 4 skill points. I spent them all on increasing my health. I needed a high health if I was going to survive in this world. Behind my house was this huge ship. I would definitely have to come back and explore that. I gathered the remaining sheep, keeping 2 alive to make a farm. Because when testing this mod pack, one of the hardest things was finding a proper food source. I don't know if I would ever encounter cows or any sort of mobs, so I got those sheep. And after that, I cleared out an area for where I wanted to build my base and gathered wood to lead into day 3. After storing away my items, I needed to mine coal. I would need a lot of torches to make my base safe, and while I was doing this, I saw my first zombie. This guy was a skill zombie, and luckily the sun took away most of his health because it was pretty challenging taking him down. Next, a skeleton came by and with one arrow took out a quarter of my health. Now you see why I'm in such a rush to mob proof this area. I don't want these guys spawning down. I finished clearing this space, and that would make a perfect spot for a farm. Then I headed down into the mines to find iron, because although I didn't need to mine, I would still need basic armor to attack any dungeon and get those items. I'd love to say that I was fearless, but then I saw a poisonous zombie. I quickly got out of there, taking the one single iron that I needed to make a weapon. I used 2 more skill points on ranking up my health, smelted some food as well as the iron, and then used it to make a boomerang, a ranged weapon which I could possibly use to do some damage on this super high leveled elite zombie. I eventually killed it, and when I did, it spawned a whole bunch of silverfish. And you can see how difficult this would be as I took 2 steps into the cave and already I fought an elite zombie. But he did drop a few enchanted books for me, so it was kind of worth it. After that encounter, I needed some more food, so I found some sheep as well as that epic dungeon. Just like the ship, I would need to come back when I was stronger. But on day 4, I went into the mines to find iron and find diamonds. I didn't know at this point that I really didn't need to do any mining in this mod pack. I would need to raid dungeons, but it would still be difficult for me to do it at such a low power level, so either way, it would help in the future. I got a bunch of iron, and I would use the skill points to level up my health, as well as to create some basic tools and armor. Now that I had a bucket and a hoe, I started my farm. I really needed this because I only had 2 lamb chops left, so I planted the seeds, hoping they would grow quickly, and expanded my farm very optimistically. I hope I get a lot of food out of it. After that, I cleared out the area because I realized that having all of these tall flowers around would make it very hard to see sneaky creepers. So after I did that, it was time to head into the forest to gather some wood. And actually, one of the reasons why I chose the space area was because of this forest nearby. This wood was one of my favorites to build with. And guys, remember how I said this world is beautiful? Look at that. I mean, just an incredible moment. After that, I found some cows, so now a cow farm was possible. Then I battled into the night, playing around with this boomerang. As you can see, if I hit them from too close, the boomerang falls onto the floor. It's a really awesome weapon to use, and the combat system in these mods is just so epic. I mean, look at that. I rolled and ducked and dodged and killed that spider under the moonlight. Next was a skilled zombie. I would fight this guy. You can see he has a whole bunch of cool effects around him, but I would eventually take him down and get myself another enchanted book. This was a little bit more difficult. You can see that since they're closer, again, the boomerang keeps hitting the floor, but I still love the rhythm of fighting using it. One of my favorite weapons, actually, from this mod pack. I mean, check this out. So cool. Then I had to eventually pull out the axe on that spider because he's getting a little bit too close to me, a little bit too close for comfort. But now a legendary creeper pops out of nowhere, taking me down to 0.1 health. I narrowly escaped and used my 1 skill point to increase my strength. This would give me as best of a chance as possible as defeating the legendary creeper. As you can see, 3 stars above its name, poison all around it, and I tried to hit it from very far. I did this for a really long time until it used magic to kill me. Yes, random magic. And then I lost all of my items. This creeper was on my base. It was daytime. I didn't have a lot of options. I thought, I'm just gonna hit this thing and let it explode. That's the only choice that I have. I did not expect this. Yeah, I didn't think the explosion would be that big. It literally destroyed the entire area. This was really a miscalculation on my part. I had no idea that the creepers would be this powerful, but I went to gathering up some blocks to fill out this hole as much as I could because I wasn't gonna move base again. This is not the worst thing that's happened to me so far. I remade my tools, remade my armor with the remaining iron that I had, and used another skill point to level up my health. Back into the mines I went because I needed some more coal because I didn't want what happened to me before to happen again. Imagine if I built this super complicated redstone house and then that happened. I would literally cry. At this point, I was more scared for my base than for myself. But anyways, I had a few good fights and continued mining. At this point, again, I didn't know I didn't need to mine, but I went all out. I gathered everything that I could find, so much iron, and made a huge smelting area. Now I had tons and tons of iron, and at least I could use this to make beacons in the future. Full iron armor and tons of pickaxes. I used it to go all the way until I found a cavern, and this cavern wasn't any normal cavern. It was a modded one, and it had diamonds on the inside. There you go, guys. Day 7, we had diamonds, so I went back up to the surface where I encountered a legendary zombie. Not again. I avoided him. Then I gathered up some wood and brought my sheep over to my new farm. After that, an elite zombie came after me. I tried as hard as I could, but he took me down. No matter what I did, I wasn't any match for this elite zombie. He eventually died to the sunlight, but this really shows you what power level I am at the moment. Will I be able to defeat the elite zombie in the future? Would I be able to defeat a dragon or a mythical beast? Wait and see. But I began terraforming on day 9. I would need a massive space, not just for a house, but a protective wall surrounding it. I could also use all this dirt to fill in that massive hole created by the creeper. And doing this surely would not create a problem where mobs spawned underground. But there you have it. We're back. The base is fixed. I bred my first sheep, and the farm is expanding. I made a giant sword at the end of this day, swinging around a bit. That was pretty fun. It looks cool, but it's kind of useless. I added 2 more points to my health and called it a day. Back down at the mine shaft, I thought, why not? Let's take a look around and see what I could find. I got some gold, some redstone, and after looking around for a while, I went back upstairs to enchant my iron pick with Fortune 1. I learned from my past survival videos, I need to squeeze every single diamond out of these blocks. So I got the diamonds that I found earlier, some magma blocks, some more redstone, and a few more diamonds for good measure. gathered those up and used my skill points to increase my health. I got some food, I bred the sheep a bit, and made a diamond boomerang. Once I had this, I made an iron shield and a diamond saber, enchanted that, and now I was ready to tackle my first dungeon. That ship. Here we go, into the water. They started spawning immediately. I didn't expect there to be spawners on the outside. I tried my best to avoid all these mobs, swimming through to find a way onto the ship, but it was completely surrounded. You could see the amount of mobs that was there. I had to go back for some food. I eventually decided to, you know what? Let's just build over the water, avoid them completely, and break into the back of the ship. The closest part near me, you can see the amount of lag I was having, and look at the amount of food that was tucked into the back of the ship. I was going to take every single piece, and in my first chest, I found over 40 pieces of iron and a diamond helmet. Now I knew what was on that ship. I had to get onto it. Mobs kept spawning until the entire ocean floor was completely covered with them, and on the ship, there was even more. I honestly stood no chance against this, instantly died, but I wasn't gonna give up. As I turned around, the ship caught on fire. What a turn of events. That explosion from the last mob set the entire ship ablaze, and now all that I had left to do was to go around and take out the spawners. This itself was pretty hard. I had to navigate around these mobs and try not to die in the process. I got a few of them until the creepers exploded from that distance. I mean, I jumped in just to show you guys the amount of mobs I was spawning and why I was lagging. The spawning was definitely bugging out, but here you have it, 9 diamonds and a diamond chest plate, including other amazing things in all of these chests and barrels. This was a huge dungeon, and getting this would allow me to slingshot into this world. And I know it looks like a lot, but this is really nothing compared to what you can do in this mod pack. It is only the beginning. I had to eventually turn off my shaders to get rid of these last few remaining spawners because they were still spawning endlessly. I had to go around, do some parkour. You can see it was still pretty difficult, and it took quite some time, but I eventually take out every spawner so I can loot this ship in peace. I went away for a bit for the mobs to despawn. There was like 1,000 of them, guys. I couldn't find every single one of them. I did get a golden apple near this nether portal though, and now I was back to loot the ship and bask in the riches that it would provide to me. Potions, quartz, emeralds, and lots of diamonds. Just look at my hotbar. I have the diamonds there as well as all of the emeralds. I had to make so many trips and so many chests just to fill it up with all of these amazing things, including golden apples. And yes, I would also take the barrels and beds and anything I can really salvage because, you know, I'm a builder. I need all of these things in the future if I was going to build something epic. I also got those cobwebs because who knows, maybe I'll make a defense of some sort. There's a diamond sword, casual diamond sword with looting 3, sharpness 4, and sweeping edge 3. I mean, after this, I really set my goals high for this video. I thought I could do pretty much anything I wanted. Now that I knew that this was only the beginning, here we have it, full diamond armor, even some enchantments with 22 levels. Day 14 would be the beginning of my first major project. I was going to finally start building up my base, and the first thing I was going to make was a wall to protect me. I was going to make this out of diorite. Quartz would have been nice, but I hadn't even gotten to the nether yet, and it also could be quite expensive. I was going to need a lot of it, so I went down into the mines and got so much diorite, as much as I could carry. Then I started terraforming, flattening the hills, and removing all of those flowers around my base, creating the foundation for my walls. These walls were going to be massive. I wanted it to surround a very large place, large enough for me to build my farm as well as my house. After I cleared enough blocks, I started to build the wall with the first layer just to see how big I wanted to build this thing. I wrapped it around the farm, did a bit of cheap terraforming here to take it all the way to the other end, and that is the first layer so far. I went to the other corner and did a bit of terraforming in order to connect the wall to the lake. I was going to use a part of the lake as a part of the wall. That way I didn't have to build a complete circle. This would save a lot of time and a lot of resources because I was going to need a lot of diorite. Then I started building up the walls. Now I could have made this out of stone, but I think it looks much better with the white diorite. I would eventually run out halfway through and had to go back down into the mines to get some more. I set those trees on fire. It was now time for some serious terraforming. I had to flatten this entire area and also use a diorite to build up the wall. I got all the way around to the front side, almost completing the first layer, but now I had to transfer all of the dirt from the center to the corner where the farm was. This was perfect because I can not only flatten the middle, but also fill out those gaps in the ground that I needed to. Of course, I needed a lot of building space and a lot of dirt was required to do this. I got almost halfway there until I needed to go back down and get some more diorite to finish up the wall. I took a quick lunch break and then it was time to work on that second layer of the wall. Diorite was getting harder to find, so after I ran out, I went back to terraforming the area and transferring over that dirt. This would have been a lot easier if I had an enchanted diamond shovel. I know I could have waited until the end of the video to do it, but I really wanted that level of protection before I set out on any adventure. And this would definitely be worth it for me, as I would have a really cool base and really something to fight for. And look at that, after everything had been cleared, the base looks so much better. I was so happy. I continued mining till the end of day 18. I just wanted to get all of the diorite out of the way. I was really tired of seeing this block. And then I continued adding that last few remaining bits to the top of the wall until I finally had this epic looking wall. Even though it was unfinished, that last little layer really adds some character to it. And I was really happy that I took the extra time to make it look so cool. I took a little break here to harvest my farm and also to breed my sheep, just a little pace down from what I was doing, and went straight back into it by first making a gate, and I would use this gate to transfer in all of the wood that I would need to get to finish the final layer of the wall. Day 20 came and I started to build up the front gate and add that last layer of the wall, which would be made completely out of wooden logs. This would make the wall look really nice, but would require a lot of wood. So I headed back into the forest to gather up some more, looking over my shoulder every 2 seconds for creepers. I made some friends on the way back. I thought, why not? Let's bring them in, corral them, because I might need them later. I continued work on the front gate, and I wanted this to look as nice as possible, but this was going to be the entrance to my entire base, so I put in that extra effort, and it required a lot of wood as well, so I made a few more trips, and once I had the wood, I added in ladders and started to build up the third story. That diorite really does look nice with this wood especially. Then I added in a bed because this would be a much better spot than sleeping in the cave. A little upgrade for me. One more trip to the forest and I completed the roof. After clearing out the front, I had now this epic looking wall at the end of day 20, guys. This turned out really well. Let me know what you guys think. On day 21, before setting off on my next big adventure, I went ahead and expanded my farm until it was absolutely massive. Then on day 22, I set off in the direction of my tree farm, eventually reaching a dead end, but this wasn't gonna stop me. I would travel above the swamp until I could find an enemy to challenge me. I didn't know what waited for me on the other side, but I would take on all comers. Now, I did eventually run into a dungeon, and as soon as I did, I headed straight for it. I was itching for a challenge, and I finally had it. I started making my way up the tower, and I soon realized that this type of dungeon is what I should have fought in the beginning. That ship was an extremely high level dungeon and I was super lucky to come across it. I fought a ferocious battle through the night into early morning. I love the combat mechanics, especially fighting one-on-one. It's just so much fun. My reward would be an iron sword and some silver ingots. You can tell now that the rewards are much more realistic. I had one more level to clear. Luckily, the sunlight made the spiders docile and I defeated the final witch to conquer this entire tower. On day 23, as I was heading back, I found this ruin. It didn't have much inside of it and no enemies in sight, so I stripped it for what I could. But I wasn't finished yet. I still had to make it home through the night. I had survived. Now with a new level of strength and confidence, I sorted through my rewards, adding feather falling to my diamond boots, as I began to clear out the area around my base. I added 2 points to my strength and made a wizard's staff. With this staff, I could use my XP, which I would not be using to craft enchanted books, to cast spells like turning the sheep into a baby sheep. Very cute. I can also use the staff to place down blocks that were in my inventory. This would really help terraforming and just speed things up. On day 25, I set my sights to the castle dungeon. After defeating the tower so easily, I was up for a challenge. I headed in and battled a floating head. After that, I took a peek in the chest and there was some awesome loot, so I had to clear this place out. There were tons of spiders, but I took out some of the spawners and defeated the last remaining spiders until I could finally do some looting. I took everything, including the carpet and bookcases, until I eventually encountered my first real challenge, an armored knight. This guy was pretty tough. I thought I had him here with the sick move, but then he drank a health potion. Luckily for me, I did outsmart him and eventually hit him with a boomerang to get the final blow. I went back to my base because there was just so much loot. I saw what was in there and now I wanted it. Tons and tons of loot. I returned back to the second floor to claim what is mine, defeating a wither skeleton, and now this is where the fun begins. I got completely surrounded there. Time to pull back and use some magic. Well, that's it. Absolutely nothing. Time to attack. I'm not afraid of you. And oh no, it goes down. He goes down. Oh, the issue here is that they stun you when they attack. I couldn't escape. I couldn't. They got me fair and square. But now, this is the redemption arc. Up one more level. Here we go. Back again, Armored Knight. I don't think so. I know all your tricks. Potion coming in, it's going out. I tanked it. I took all of it. I'm gonna take this enchantment table too. They never stop coming. These wither skeletons riding spiders, spider jockeys. Come on, get out of here. I just want to get to the next level, man. Oh no, a creeper. The magic does nothing! Skilled creeper, back away. Boomerang, please help me. Oh, there you go, I got it. Here I am, dropping off some loot, but I had to myth bust this real quick. Does the boomerang actually do no damage? Yeah, it does no damage. Neither does the magic. And here, I got paralyzed by the magic of the spider and got exploded by 2 creepers. Luckily, I survived. That's how powerful I am right now. But I still wouldn't be powerful enough to face what is to come. And speaking of what is to come, here is a legendary zombie. What is this guy? What is this? Flames flying out of everywhere. 3 stars. I am pretty intimidated, but I wanted to take this guy down. The sunlight should be helping me. I did a lot of damage to him. I would run back and forth to try to, you know, take a little bit of health off him. Still trying to use the magic. I didn't give up on it yet, but this looked really cool. I gotta give you that, especially those moves and just wow, this battle. I was doing well, making some progress until I realized, hey, you're on fire. And yeah, I couldn't escape in time. Obviously, I was on fire. So I just died until I finally got the zombie when he fell down into the cave. I mean, he roasted in the sun for about 10 minutes. That kind of helped, but I'm gonna count that as a win. I headed back over to the dungeon because I had some unfinished business. This part was really fun because it felt like I was playing a hack and slash game. As I was fighting wither skeletons before, now I was fighting regular spiders. There were tons of them though, so it felt like I was cutting through just a billion spiders. Do you see that? A billion spiders. I would just run straight in there and destroy the spawners. I got really efficient at this, and then I would eventually just clear out all of the mobs. Here's an elite zombie. I totally went straight in for this one. That's how you defeat them. I learned that I just go all out. I do not pull my punches whatsoever. I reached finally to the top here, where I immediately removed all the spawners. I headed back home, where I dropped off some items, cleared my inventory, and returned by, of course, building all the way to the top, because it was just faster. As I returned, there were a few mobs waiting there to greet me. I must have forgotten the spawner somewhere, but after taking these guys out, I found the hidden spawner right up in the roof, got rid of that, and now the loot was all mine. You can see that compared to the shipwreck, the loot isn't as amazing, just to show you how insane the shipwreck actually was, but there were still tons of diamonds, emeralds, enchanted books, pieces of diamond armor, and tons of awesome items. And yes, I take those lamps, the most valuable thing in that tower. And now I returned home to gaze upon my hoard. My hoard, because I will never use any of these items. I just like looting. That is just too accurate. So this, inside of all my chests, are the loot which I obtained in the last couple of days. You can see just the sheer amount of ores. I was going to have to do something crazy at the end of this video to use up all of these items, but the number of bones, I even got 2 wither skeleton skulls because I was actually fighting wither skeletons in there, so I could possibly get a beacon as well as go to the end and fight the wither, and tons of diamond armor as well, and books, feather falling 4, fortune 4, razor's edge 4, bane of arthropods, sharpness 5, efficiency, power 4, sharpness 4 again, mending, and many more. I added razor's edge to my boomerang in a desperate attempt to improve it, and out by the gate I started to flatten out the land. While I was doing this, a slime showed up, giving me the perfect opportunity to test this thing out, and yep, it was totally useless. Then I used that dirt that I got to fill in the holes made by the creepers, and also fill in some more places using the wizard staff. Along the walls I added water where the farm would be located, and also some lights along the inside and outside of the wall. Take a look at how things look now. And after that, I started to till the ground to add in the seeds and completely planted the outside with wheat. After I had done this, I added in a pathway, and this pathway would be made out of cobblestone. I think it looks really nice. I mined for so much that I actually needed to upgrade my pickaxe once again, and then I continued terraforming the outside, just trying to flatten all of this before I set off on my next adventure. Here's where I encountered a legendary skeleton. My first ever, I was going to battle this guy, and since there was stunning in the game and he was a bow and arrow mob, he really stood no chance against me. I went straight in and completely destroyed this legendary skeleton. I was no longer in fear of skeletons. He did drop a few cool books, and I used all of the XP that I'd gotten over the last couple days to use magic to place down all of those dirt blocks and really help me clean up this side of the wall. I added in water, and I also tilled the ground and planted it. As day 36 came to an end, I could really say that I was finally making this place my home. And wow, did it look good. Day 37, and it was time for a real adventure. I wanted to travel far beyond the edges of my base, and before I got there, I encountered this ferocious beast. This thing had a really cool sweeping attack. If you know what this is called, tell me down below. But he also had a poison attack, and I would try my best to do some damage to this thing with only a sword and boomerang. He dodged my boomerangs, and his poison sent me back. Fighting into the night, I would have some really cool looking scenes, but I just didn't have the bow to take him down. I returned home to grab that bow, and by the time I returned, he was gone. A wise choice indeed. Onto the plains I went. An enemy outpost awaited me, and I took it upon myself to clear them out, to free this village. A hero would be needed in this world, and I would become that hero. With each swing of the sword, I came nearer to victory, and not too long after, the outpost would be cleared. My reward, 2 golden apples. Then I would encounter the skeleton of a fallen dragon, giving me a glimpse of what I might face. I spent the night in a grateful village, and in the morning battled the Sun Chief. There were a few cockatrices I needed to take care of, because being poisoned at this moment was not good. The beams coming from the sky would make it hard to stand still, but that wouldn't stop me from landing my first blow, only to be propelled back into the hands of his minions. I would battle them until I figured out that they spawned endlessly, so I was going to need a new strategy. But before that, the intensity of his attacks was increasing. I needed to run away, otherwise I wasn't gonna survive. When I would try to land a cheap hit off the corner, that's not gonna work. Right up close to him, it's not gonna work either. I needed to get the bow, and once I had the bow, I got him down to 50% health, and then he would show off his true sun powers. That is a really cool attack. I would continue fighting, and one of the coolest thing about the Sun Chief is that beam that he shoots out, just creating for a really epic looking moment. I mean, that's so awesome. The beams would just keep increasing in power, but I eventually get to a point where I could take out a bunch of his minions after grouping them up together with one stroke of my sword, giving me enough time to fire the arrows to defeat the Sun Chief. The king is dead. All hail the king. The only real loot I got out of that was the Sun Chief's mask. This gave me the ability to control my very own army. Now, it did look really cool to summon these guys, but it would be pretty useless as I would have to replace my diamond helmets. Now, I looked up the recipe for the Lightning Dragon Bone Sword. This would be the next major upgrade to my gear, so I headed out to find it. I continued in the direction of the village. This time, I would fight into the night, and I would not stop until I found a hint of a dragon. I needed that sword. Clearly, my strength had grown to the point where I didn't fear the night. I reveled in the challenge. I wanted these skeletons and spiders to attack me. It was so satisfying to take them out, including the swordsman. Him and his pet did not stand a chance. As we fought under the moonlight, my strength only grew. Okay, that's a bit dramatic, but I was getting better at this new combat system. I was learning better timing and keeping my distance in between my attacks to make sure I don't get hit by the mobs. You saw that Spider didn't stand a chance, and when I stunned this elite zombie, he really didn't have an opportunity to strike back. Even using my shield a bit more often to then sweep in with the attack, I was getting good at it. Then I encountered an ultimate skeleton. This was the highest level skeleton in the mod, and he had some amazing powers you could see with the flaming attacks as well as super speed. He didn't even get affected by the sun. It took a lot of attacks to eventually get him down to half health and about 20 arrows to finish out the job after he was out of range of me. Luckily, I made the last and final blow, taking him down and getting a few enchanted books. Nothing of note, unfortunately, even though he was the highest level zombie. I returned home, gathered up some supplies on a horse, and headed out towards another direction where I stopped by this village, checked the trades, and saw this tower. I couldn't resist, so I went into the tower to get some loot. There's mostly food at the bottom and a few pesky mobs. I continued fighting my way up the tower. Now, if you notice the floor, there are creatures popping up from it. I guess this is some sort of enchanted defense that the witches created. I got past that though, got 2 diamonds from that chest, and then I encountered the witch spawner. There were tons of witches spawning, and I just tried as fast as I could to stun them and take them out before they threw any potions at me. Only one of them managed to throw a potion at me. Luckily, he missed, but I was able to defeat them quite easily, and I returned to the village to sleep before heading out, and in the morning, I encountered a very high-level creeper. I tried to run away, but this creeper had super speed, it stunned me with magic, and exploded. Again, I died by a super powerful creeper. I lost a few items, so I had to make a quick stop home, but after that, I went out exploring, and this time during the day, so I could get really far, and now you will witness the true beauty of this mod pack. I mean, it feels like a completely different game. Everything was just so unique and gorgeous, and nothing compared to vanilla Minecraft. I mean, what do you guys think? But I eventually came to a dead end. First an ocean and then a swamp. This would force me to switch directions and head directly into a graveyard. This graveyard, of course, would be haunted by ghosts. Now, if this was the start of the series, this guy could easily kill me, but it's not. It's day 42 and he didn't stand a chance. Nighttime wasn't too far away, but I still wanted to take a look around, so I built up, and here you can see the dead end of the ocean and where I was headed. That village beyond the swamp. I had to quickly get down from the tower and race towards that village, but I didn't make it in time as night would fall upon me, and so would these birds. These guys were absolutely vicious, shooting me with tons of arrows or feathers, I guess. They were really unique and very fun to fight. I took them out though and continued my mad dash towards the village, where I stole this villager's bed. He's probably not happy about that. Like, dude, just let me sleep. And before I could get to the mountains, this armored knight tried to stop me, and he did do a lot of damage to me. I had to bring out my bow, and then after that I continued up the mountain, where I found a hippogriff just chilling there. I still didn't have the items to tame him. During this entire time exploring, I didn't find a single bunny. I mean, come on, there's another hippogriff. I also spotted this Colosseum, so at the end of day 43 I started my journey to the Colosseum, and on day 44 arrived to fight the guardians on the outside. I had to actually increase my strength here to take these guys on, because they did have quite a lot of armor. Once I was inside, my plan was just to run straight for the spawner, but before I could get there, they did spawn. They had like these floating arrows, which was kind of scary because I could take some fall damage. I did place some blocks down, preparing myself for the second dash. Please get that spawner. I want to just fight 3 of them, not an infinite amount. There you go. I got the spawner, and now I just had to take out these phantoms. This gave me flashbacks to battling shulkers in my hardcore 200 days video. I definitely recommend going back and checking that out, because that was one of my favorites. I fought into the morning, where I would defeat the final skeleton as I headed up now into the mountains behind the Colosseum. You can see there right above the lava is where I built up to the top of the mountain, and I was going to continue heading in this direction into this lovely blue forest. And oh my goodness, this forest looks awesome. I wish I built my house here. And rabbits, a miracle, but they didn't drop any rabbit feeds. I came across this outpost. I just wanted to see what was in this chest. I'm sorry, dudes. They did have a few slime balls, and no, my doggo died. I would take out my anger upon this entire forest, fighting throughout the entire night as I was exploring. Just ignore that I'm the one who actually hit the dog. Shh, don't tell anybody. I was just having fun with the combat system. I did this until morning, and then I came across another horde of birds. I actually really enjoy encountering these dudes because they're just so cool to battle with. And then I came towards the ends of my journey. A massive ocean. I wasn't going to cross that, so I started to head back, where I encountered an elite creeper. I thought I would be able to shoot this dude with an arrow, but luckily I pulled out my shield just in time. And as I was heading down the mountain, a siren called to me. I fell in love and went towards her. Oh no, don't do it, Twiistz, don't do it. Oh, she's gonna eat you. And quickly she turned hostile, but you're not gonna trick me, okay? I got some shiny scales out of that. Don't mind if I do. I'll just take that. On my way back to the village, I spotted this really weird looking purple thing. I have no idea what it was, but it spawned out purple slime. And it seemed like the rain is what's causing these things to spawn, because they were everywhere. I couldn't figure it out though, so by the morning, I left the village to head back towards my base. I could seriously spend hours just walking around in this game. How good it looks. On my way back, I stumbled across this pillager camp. I didn't see it on the way out, so I stopped just to see what loot they would have to offer me. My strategy at this point was just to tank all the shots and race towards the spawners. Once I had that done, it was easy clearing out the camp. Now I was free to loot, and these guys, I guess, were up-and-comers. They weren't elite bandits just yet. They only had 2 slime balls to offer me, and yes, I was gonna take it. I killed these pigs while I was heading home, and with my looting 3 sword, I actually got a full stack of pork chops from that. I cooked them up, and then I increased my strength. And here are some enchanted books I found on that last adventure, including Power 5, Smite 4, and Projectile Protection 4. I headed out again because I didn't find a dragon and came across another hippogriff. Please, rabbits, come to me. I still haven't found a rabbit's foot. I found this dungeon though right behind the hippogriff, and these guys were protecting something. I was gonna figure out what it was, and oh my god, it was slime. You guys have no idea how happy I was to find this at this stage in the series. I didn't even know this existed, and for those of you that don't understand, as a redstone builder, Getting slime out in a spawner like this is so good. It's better than diamonds even. It took me such a long time in my hardcore 200 days video to make a slime farm that having this was just so good. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but some of those zombies have diamond armor on. So for those of you that think my armor is a little bit OP, these guys are spawning with enchanted diamond armor, which I think is crazy. Now, I wasn't going to let any of these slimes escape, so I fought until they were all gone. And they kept on spawning. I wasn't going to complain. I'll take the extra slime. I can only imagine all the crazy things I can now build with an unlimited supply of slime. I was super excited. After defeating those guys at the bottom, I started to make my way up the tower. I was going to just conquer this entire thing. I now would remove the spawners because there's no point. I only need really one to spawn slime. As I was moving through, I searched all of these barrels, and they had loot inside of it. All of these barrels, they had mostly iron. I would take those though. Maybe getting a few stacks of iron wouldn't be too bad for me. If you pay attention to my health, they were doing some serious damage to me. I had come far, but it was nothing compared to where I would need to be to face a dragon. As I continued fighting upwards, I approached the end of day 49 and the midway point of this adventure. In the sunlight, I stood against the enemy with my head held high against the last remnants of the foes that I would defeat. They plotted their final defense, one I would crush in order to claim what was mine. This dungeon I had conquered. Into the night I fought until the sun arose. I claimed my prize. Slime and iron, gold, and name tags. It was all mine. I returned home stronger than ever, but something was still missing. I took one last look at all that I had done and headed back out to find those dragons. Hear me now. I will find you. My destiny is your defeat. I looked in almost every direction out of my base except for one. I was headed there, and this time I would avoid getting into any battles until I ran into a dragon. And off in the distance, I spotted a dragon flying in the air, and my heart just sank. I prepared for this moment, but I was still worried about getting one-shotted and losing all my gear. But I went straight for him, and he came at me as I stuck my sword into him. He released a breath of fire onto me, and as I fought in the flames, I couldn't help but think about my gear burning up. I kept an eye on that health bar and ran clear when I needed to regen health. I definitely learned lessons from my past battles, and once I had my energy back, I kept on fighting. His flame attack came directly at me. I was trapped beneath his jaws, but I rolled free down the hill to avoid his dragon's breath. I ran towards some water. It would be my only hope. I jumped in, and as I turned around, he swooped down above, and the fight was back on. Nearing the end, he would try one more time to crunch me, but my diamond armor was too strong. One final blow, and the dragon was defeated. Here on day 51, such an accomplishment. I would set up a temporary base and harvest the dragon's blood and bones to craft that special dragon bone sword. I looted his nest, taking all of his loot as well as dragon's gold. I still had inventory space and I brought my bed with me, so I thought, why not? Let's just go out and see what we could find. That was a level 1 dragon. I really want to see what a level 3 or 4 dragon looks like. Maybe even a lightning or ice dragon, but then I found a bunny. These things are more rare than dragons at this point. And in this biome as well, there was a dungeon. I took a look at it, got the spawners out of the way, and inside of this chest had a diamond horse armor. I had to take that and also fight these invisible skeletons. I wasn't sure if it was a glitch that was making them invisible, but fighting them in a confined space was pretty easy. As I made my way up to the top, I saw this Doctor Strange looking dude, and I think he was responsible for all of those wacky things that was happening. In the desert, I spotted a Miramax nest, and off in the distance on the top of the hills, I saw from afar a dragon terrorizing a town. This looked really cinematic, so I was just there looking at the dragon's breath coming down on those helpless villagers. I would have helped them, but by the time I got there, because I was looking for so long, he had flown away. So I headed back down to the Miramax nest. I was really confident at battling these dudes, and yes, I was handling them quite easily, but they had poison, so I had to sort of back out, and for the second time, add a skill point to intelligence, where I could then take out the queen. I didn't want to breed and raise my own colony of giant ants, so I just went off and found a desert temple. As I was fighting these guys, you can see together they are very strong as they stun me and have no chance of hitting back or escaping. As I said though, I learned my lessons from those past defeats. I'm gonna get roasted on this, so I might as well mention it. Yep, I know I'm not really utilizing my shield to its full potential. I know, I'm just terrible at I'm a builder, okay? Leave me alone. I ran around taking out all the spawners because, you know, less enemies spawning down, I have a better chance, and then I could just fight them one at a time. Now here is where I figured out, you know what, I'm not using the shield anyway. Let's just put 2 swords in my hands. I was made for this. So this mod allows me to fight at my true potential. Having 2 swords in my hands worked out quite well. There was so much loot, I didn't have space for anything, so I decided just to head back home. Once I was back home, I gathered all of my gold, iron, and emeralds and converted all of the nuggets into ingots and then into blocks. I got 58 blocks of gold, 42 blocks of iron, and 39 blocks of emeralds. And my reward for defeating the dragon, a special flamed dragon bone sword. This would do a lot of damage to mobs and special damage against any dragon I would face. I practiced dual wielding it, fed my sheep and cows, and headed off to find more adventure. In the mountains, I spotted this chunk of iron. I wasn't desperate for iron. I mean, you saw the amount that I had, but which one of you could honestly say that you wouldn't do the same thing? I took the entire day 54 mining out all of this iron. It's kind of worth it. I got like 8 stacks of iron. The next day, I went to the Cyclops' lair, but as a dragon slayer, he didn't stand a chance against me. With his defeat, this was the second mythical beast that I had bested, and I took his eye as a trophy. I then continued my search. As the world fell silent, out of nowhere, an ice dragon attacked, instantly killing my horse and covering the ground in deadly spikes. His attack slowed me, but luckily I had the perfect weapon to face him. Without that sword, I don't think I would have been able to win. Just look at the amount of damage that dragon did. I looted the body, then I headed over to his nest. Here, I almost fell into lava, so close to death there. Inside of his chest, I found a few sapphires. I wasn't sure what I could do with these, but I took them anyways, along with 2 diamonds. Then I spotted another hippogriff. Man, I really want these rabbits so I could get the hippogriff mounts. As I was crossing this river, a sea serpent came up to me and I just ran away because those guys are really powerful and I don't think I was ready for that. By the end of day 56, I would make it back home. While I was here, I would clear out my inventory, place down a bunch of furnaces, and utilize all of that coal that I had saved up to smelt the iron. I had to repair my gear, which was almost completely damaged from those last few battles. I added efficiency 4 to my pickaxe and also increased my critical damage rate. I headed out again to find another dragon. Without the fear of this world, my exploration went down faster, and before long, I spotted another dragon. Death and destruction was all he knew, so I gave it to him. As he towered over me, I couldn't help but think. A hero? A warrior? A legend? Where would this path take me? Who would I become? And as I struck my final blow, I knew I would be a dragon slayer. So long I spent in fear, but it was now my time to be the hunter. I mean, just look at me. I was in my element. I wasn't just winning, I was winning with style. Although I was fighting a much larger dragon, I wouldn't use any golden apples. I was so confident in myself, I went straight for it. He put up a fight, but he didn't really stand a chance. He couldn't hold me back. I was climbing the ladder and nothing was gonna stop me. Over the horizon, I spotted another dragon's nest, so I went to it. Listen to that roar! Watch as I pushed him back, lightning coming from his jaws that wouldn't be enough to stop his own defeat. But I wasn't done. I would climb higher. Who among them can stop me? Who among them can say they have witnessed greatness? Here comes a new challenger. Does he think he could stop me? His attacks were strong, setting ablaze the entire ship. I tried one more time to board, but I couldn't. I had to retreat. His attacks were coming in too quickly. I had nowhere to go. The flames were surrounding me until I fell. Oh, we had some fun there, didn't we? Now let's take a step back and enjoy the view. It was now day 60 and I was having so much fun exploring this world. I came across this field of roses and then a den which had a 3-headed serpent inside. That poison caught me off guard, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit worried, but after defeating so many dragons, I just went for it. The flaming sword did so much damage to him and my diamond sword sliced off one of the heads. Not long after, I would defeat him, adding another mythical beast to my line of victories. I looted his lair to get an efficiency 4 and mending book and explored this awesome looking mushroom biome. I didn't want to raid another tower though, so I kept on moving until I found another dragon. As I was heading back, I thought, why not? Let's just pick this guy up, let's get his loot, because at the moment I am unstoppable. He did put up a fight though for such a tiny dragon, getting me down to half health, but my moves were on point this time. I returned on day 61 with no mini-map, I might add. I resupplied and then headed back out to find a hippogriff. You could actually make a mount out of these guys, and I wanted one, but they were so hard to find. I had to look everywhere. I went in almost every single direction. I don't know why they're so rare, almost as rare as rabbits. But I did find some rabbits on this journey, and eventually at the very end, I found a hippogriff and he was on the ground. I was so happy, you guys have no idea. I tried feeding him the rabbit meats, but then I discovered it's not rabbit meat, it's rabbit feet. Oh no, that was gonna be impossible to get, especially with how rare the rabbits are. I kept on looking though until I got attacked by a level 4 dragon. This guy was massive, spraying fire all over me. He bit me into his jaws. I've been devastating the entire dragon population, so it was about time that one came after me. This guy was no joke. I had to eat a golden apple, and even that would take me down so many hearts because I just wasn't good against flames. This dude was huge and I was really worried because dying to fire means I lose all of my gear and I did not want that to happen. Just look how relentless he is with his flaming breath. But I went for it. He stopped for a moment and I took the shot and got him down. There you have it. I defeated a level 4 dragon with the entire earth now scorched. I claimed my prize and went on to fight even more beasts, including the sandworm. And as I was traveling, another dragon came. They were coming from everywhere, and this actually was making me really paranoid because it kept on killing my horses. But I wasn't mad because this was the best looking fight I had so far. The dragon with his awesome sweeping attacks and me with the doubled swords. It just looks so cinematic. Just look at me pushing him back into the hill. So epic. I was on foot now, so I found a desert temple and just watch how efficient I had become. No messing around, just straight for their spawners. Now all that was left was to take out those pesky guards. He's got moves, he's got moves. Who needs a shield? I need a backpack though, because I literally left without taking anything. But back home on day 63, I went down into the mines. I had emptied my inventory, but I was still itching for a fight. I took on those horde of zombies and then encountered a legendary zombie. This guy was actually more powerful than a dragon. I had to equip both swords but he still got me down to half HP. I used the bow to get some cheeky shots off on him, but you can see just the amount of arrows that it takes. He almost killed me here down at 6 HP, but you know, zombies are very slow. He didn't even drop anything that good, but luckily there was tons of loot in the mines, gunpowder and redstone. I should have come down here a lot earlier. I could have been making so many redstone things. Now I was motivated just to clear out the entire mine. Just check out the amount of redstone lamps, repeaters, rails. I took absolutely everything that I could. This was an absolute gold mine. I think some of the best looting that I'd ever did, because I love redstone, guys. Come on, don't you know this about me? Sorry, I just freaked out about redstone, but back here on day 65, I'm going to do what you guys probably have been thinking I should have done a long time ago, which is just go to the very top of these dungeons. And look at this. Yeah, so immediately after that happened, I just went inside because that was way too close. My heart literally stopped. I just love this because you can just see how much I've grown since I went out adventuring. I'm a little bit less cautious and more just going after all of the diamonds, all of the best loot, which is what I'm doing right here. 25 diamonds already, a full stack of emeralds and iron. I went from cringing in the corner in darkness, trying to hide from any mob that came my way, to become a complete warrior. No longer am I a farmer, I'm not a builder, I'm a beast heading into battle against multiple foes for the fun of it. Here at the end of day 66, I had completely transformed myself, and I would defeat the skeletons and head back to my base to complete this dungeon. I know you guys have been waiting for this, and so have I. So I lit up the portal and headed into the nether. These guys came after me straight away, but I wasn't worried because, I mean, look at all the things I faced before. I grabbed this weird looking block. I wasn't sure what it was, but I was going to take it back with me. I defeated this creature that dropped a bunch of silverfish. That's kind of creepy. Then I got a bunch of purple wood and saw this really awesome looking terrain. Right after that, there was also another cool looking biome in the nether here. You could see completely on fire and covered with spikes. I had a lot of fun exploring until I came across a nether fortress. This is what I was here for, so I went ahead and defeated the blazes to get those blaze rods. I continued fighting until I had enough blaze rods to where I didn't need to come back to the nether. There was so much stuff left to do, and it was already day 68. I couldn't spend too much time exploring the nether. Plus I ran out of food, so back in the overworld I crafted a mending and efficiency 4 book and added it to my axe. Then I spawned in the wither. You guys saw the last time I fought the Wither in my 200 days video. I fought him underground and defeated him pretty easily. This time I wanted a challenge, so I spawned him on the outside. I think this is the first time ever I've spawned the Wither on the outside and legitimately fought him in survival mode, which is not that surprising since I am a builder. I continued shooting him with my bow to obviously get him down to the ground, but then I noticed that his explosions was actually sending me deep into a hole, and that was very dangerous as I could become easily stuck and die. My health went down to 15 HP until I started to run around for a really long time. I edited it out, but I ran around for quite a while until I could get some food, and then I figured out his patterns. I was able to get a few more shots in until he came down to my level, and then it was open season with the double-bladed swords. I mean, it was over for him. Now that he was on my level, there was nothing that he could do. I got the nether star, and back at my base, I made a blindfold, got on a boat, and went out to a temple that I saw earlier. Can you guess what I'm gonna fight next based on the blindfold? Yes, Medusa, another mythical beast for me to defeat. I fought on with the blindfold on so she wouldn't turn me to stone. I defeated her and then posed for this epic shot. But I wasn't done yet. I wasn't gonna head back. I was going to continue exploring. This time the objective was ocean exploration. Let's see what we could find across the ocean. Look at that amazing shot. I also found a lovely biome with some pandas munching on some bamboo. That was just so cool. I had to stop and check it out until I found my first sea serpent. Luckily, he was a really small sea serpent, and I mastered the art of third-person bow fighting. I took down that sea serpent and got his fangs. Now I was crossing this massive ocean. You guys have no idea how scared I was to do this. I could die, and my items could drop to the bottom of the ocean where I could never find it again. At any moment, a level 5 serpent could show up out of nowhere, and being on the ocean, I would be at a major disadvantage. Luckily, I made it across, and then my most epic dragon fight yet. This was a small dragon, but it was such a difficult battle. Instead of landing right in front of me, this dragon would hover over and bathe me in flames. I got worried for a second that I might actually die and lose all of my gear, but I never give up. Let's go, get him! Another victory, and my legend grows. Here comes a level 5 sea serpent. You think he's ready for it? I don't think so. I got a few shots even before he came near me. Jumps up into the air, and bam, he goes down, I got the fangs. His friend comes on shore. This is like really weird how they come on shore. But once he figured out their fighting patterns, I easily took him down. Underwater, there were a few hippocampus, so I swam down there, tamed one of them, and now I had this super fast mount. I could go anywhere in the ocean. By day 72, I was back home, but I wouldn't stay for long because I wanted to go out and check out those high-level tower dungeons. I remember seeing one in this direction, and while I stopped by to try to get some rabbit's foot, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I was just taking out my frustrations on them. I found that tower, set up a temporary base, and with my high-level loot, I finally broke into the tower and began the fight. There were a few spawners in there and tons of mobs already on the first level. I wonder what's gonna be at the top. This mod pack seriously changed the entire game. I could never imagine fighting so many mobs in vanilla Minecraft. Even this little spin, just knocking out all of those skeletons with one move. I took out the spawners and the remaining mobs and peeked inside the chest to see a crazy amount of loot. There was so much loot that I decided just to take the diamonds. I was hoping for better things at the top, but what could be better than diamonds? At least I could carry full stacks of 64. Surely my inventory would not fill up. Obviously, this is a very high level dungeon. I needed to be very high level in order to even enter here without dying instantly. Do you guys remember me at the beginning of this video struggling just to kill a single spider? Now look at me, it is some crazy progression. Inside these two chests was over a stack of iron, including emeralds, gold, and diamonds. My goal now would be to gather all the materials in order to make netherite armor and that level 4 beacon. I ran into some vindicators, which would give me a sign of the battle to come, as I continued climbing the tower, defeating the last few remaining skeletons before entering the main part of the tower. For the first time, I had to level up my damage and critical hit rate, because although I had such powerful diamond swords, they were no match for the amount of health these mobs were getting. Soon, I was finding myself fighting Ravagers, and their spawners were at the top of these towers. By the time I killed one, a whole bunch more spawned. So as I was running down to the bottom of the stairs, I had to quickly fight and defeat them to get back to that spawner. I had to use everything I had in my arsenal, including my golden apples, until I found myself fighting under the moonlight in this epic shot. And you can see I ran into a bunch of vindicators who weren't messing around. They took me down to half health, and you can see that it's still a challenge for me here on day 73. I eventually got a hang of their spawning, went around and destroyed all those spawners, and just went to fighting the remaining mobs. I took down a few more vindicators, got a few vexens, and the fight continued. All of these towers were interconnected, so getting them all to stop spawning was quite a challenge. The loot would make it all worth it though, but I don't know about you guys, I expected a few more diamonds here at the top since it was more challenging than at the bottom. But either way, I couldn't even carry most of the loot, including the loot inside of this chest. At this point, it's safe to say that I mastered this dungeon. On day 74, my inventory was filled, so I started to head back home, excited to upgrade all of my gear. Back at my base, just take a look at my inventory. Even my mending with a Bane of Arthropods 4 sword was nothing compared to what I could make. I even had to retire that flaming sword and put away a few totems of the undying that I got. I upgraded my health one more time and then made a diamond bow. This was the most powerful bow that I could get, and it was very accurate at long range. You can even spot a single single rabbit's foot in my inventory. After that, I made a new pair of pants and sword, added infinity to my bow along with projectile protection 4 and mending to my pants, then feather falling 4 to my boots along with mending as well as protection 4, added sharpness 5 to my diamond sword as well as looting 3. Then I used my name tag to name my mount Maximus. But I wasn't done yet. Before this chapter ended, I wanted to convert all of my diamond gear into netherite gear. So on day 76, I headed into the nether to start looking for ancient debris. I was using an enchanted diamond pickaxe as well as 7 other regular diamond pickaxes in order to mine out enough netherrack to find this ancient debris. And even with the chunk borders on and all of this gear, it still took me about an hour and a half. You could see the amount I was mining just in a straight line, trying to find 1 or 2 pieces of ancient debris. I think you could give me a break on this one as we have barely 20 days left, and it would get much harder to find ancient debris, especially in this area. Eventually though, I would get enough to head back to the surface and start crafting some items. You can just see the amount of diamond pickaxes I used as well as how much netherrack I brought back. Now for the fun part, I crafted that netherite ingot, and the first thing I did was upgrade my pickaxe. I combined 2 pickaxes that I had to make an efficiency 5, unbreaking 3, mending, and fortune 3 pickaxe. That's netherite. That is crazy. And I continued now by crafting some new armor using the dragon scales that I had. I wasn't gonna get all of the dragon scales to make another weapon, so I decided just to make a cool looking armor. And now the best part, converting all of my armor into netherite armor, keeping those amazing enchantments. I was still missing 1 more netherite sword, so I headed back in. I wasn't going to keep the set incomplete. After about 40 minutes of mining, I came back with nothing. I couldn't find any more ancient debris, so I decided to try out a new method. Using the TNT that I found in the cavern, I went back and exploded a bunch of them to try to find any bit of netherite that was left in this area. I did find 1 little area of netherite, and this was just enough for me to craft that final sword. So here we go, the final sword to complete the full set of netherite armor, double swords, all enchantments at the end of day 79. I started day 80 by showing off my collection of loot. Inside these chests, I had so many rare items, decorative blocks, enchanted pieces of armor, ores, and enchanted books, just to show you the amount of battles that I've been in, and I didn't even take half of the loot that I got. My real task today was to start building my house, and this house would be made out of quartz, one of the most expensive blocks in Minecraft. I know some of you probably cringed at my diorite wall, so now I'm about to flex on you with a full quartz house. The house would require hundreds of blocks of quartz, which would lead me to very interesting mining techniques. But doing this, I was able to pick up a few more pieces of ancient debris which I could use to upgrade my remaining gear. I mined out probably over 10,000 blocks of netherrack over the course of 45 minutes, clearing out this entire area to get about 5 stacks of quartz blocks. Back on the surface, I got some wood to make a chest and to smelt down my ancient debris. You could just see the amount of quartz that I had. Next, I made a netherite axe and shovel, adding efficiency 4 to the shovel and unbreaking 3 to the axe, ending off the day by adding 1 more skill point of strength. The next day, it was time to start clearing out the area. The best way to do this, of course, was to set all the trees on fire and wait for it to burn. As the trees were burning, I removed the farm because most of my food came from looting anyways. I also took the time to make the entrance of my base look a little nicer by flattening and terraforming all of the dirt. After this, I noticed that the trees were burning a little bit weird. I'm not sure if it was because of the mod pack, but it left a lot of floating blocks, which I had to remove before beginning construction. I don't think I've seen anyone wait this long in their video to start building their house, but that's exactly what I did. This would allow me to build it out of the best materials with the least amount of time possible, since I had all of the best gear. But anyways, I started off by building up the front of the house, lining it up with my gate because I wanted the effect of when you walk through the gates of my base, you saw this amazing looking house. I also didn't use one type of quartz. I tried to use the chisel quartz and the quartz bricks to give it a bit of texture. If you thought that was crazy, I also decided to make this 2 stories tall. I wanted a really majestic building, a throne fit for a king after conquering this very dangerous world. In order to reduce the cost of all of the quartz, I added in a lot of windows. I also want you guys to pay attention to the design of my house. It's pretty square right now, but it will get better over time. Next, I went out to fight a few mobs because I needed a break, plus I needed their XP in order to use magic. Here I defeated a legendary spider, and you can see that as my power increases, the mobs in the world become more dangerous. Now with this XP, I was able to add infinity to my bow, as well as clearing out the area at the front. I used the magic staff to add in a cobblestone floor, finishing it off with some cobblestone slabs. Back on the roof, I decided to add an outline of slabs to give it more depth. Then I figured that the center was too short, so I extended the middle of the front area all the way up to the top and added in that slab roof. It looked way better, and the construction of the sides can now begin, but I ran out of quartz, so I had to go back into the nether to begin mining once again. The good part about this is that I kept finding ancient debris. The bad part is that quartz became more and more rare, and you saw that the sides of my house was actually a lot larger than the front, meaning I would need even more quartz. At this point, I realized how difficult this task would be. I couldn't have done this without mending on my pickaxe. I would literally mine until my pickaxe was about to break, hoping to find quartz to give me the XP to repair my pickaxe. And here you can see just one tunnel that I mined using my mining method, which was just pick a direction and try to find quartz. I would go on for about 1 hour just doing this, just a glimpse of this huge scale of operation that I was undertaking just to find a small amount of quartz. Back on the surface, I realized, you know, I'm not gonna build this entire thing out of quartz. Let me add some windows. So I headed over to the beach, got a lot of sand, smelted that down along with the ancient debris, made some more netherite ingots, and then a samurai sword. This was actually my favorite weapon in the mod pack. It looked really cool and it sounded awesome. Unfortunately, it was one of the weakest netherite weapons. After playing around with that, I went back to building the house, and you can see where I added in those massive windows. The windows would take up maybe 50% of the wall, making the wall itself a lot cheaper. And you can see here exactly where the walls connected to the front of the house. I then took the slabs from the front and extended it all the way around the side, towards the back, and towards the second wall that I would eventually build. Now I had this really awesome frame, the house was coming together. The next thing was to add in the floor. I started by removing the dirt and then deciding what color wood that I wanted, and as I was going to get that wood, Maximus was just chilling outside, so I decided to add him to our lake. Now he had his very own giant lake to frolic in. I had to travel a bit to find this birch, but I think it would be the best wood to complement the quartz. As the sun was rising, I added in that floor here at the end of day 89, and now you can check out the progress so far. Day 90 started with the construction of the second floor roof, which was made out of quartz slabs. It looks good and it saved on cost, but as I was building this, I ran out of quartz, so I had to go not to the nether, but out to find a dungeon in order to get some XP to repair my broken pickaxe and shovel you can see in my inventory. As I was making my way there, I was attacked. Here I thought I was untouchable with this netherite armor, but this dragon would humble me. Not only did he do fire damage to me, but here comes a slime to poison me, and a cockatrice to do withering damage. Every time I tried to escape, I kept getting clinched back into his jaws. He was so strong, I found myself hiding in a hole again like it was day 1. After leveling up my strength, it was time for round 2. Here he comes flying in. This time I would use my double netherite swords because I needed to give it my all to defeat this beast. Down he goes, another dragon defeated, and on I went to the dungeon. This was the first time I've had full netherite gear, so I was interested to see how I would do in the dungeon this time around. So here I go, a pickaxe in one hand and a sword in the other as I cut through these mobs like butter. What's really cool is that you guys are actually seeing the first time ever I've legitimately gotten netherite armor in survival mode. It's so awesome that I can create these memories and also share them with you so that they can become your memories. I picked up the pace here, busting out my flaming infinity bow to get rid of the few remaining mobs so I could destroy the spawners. Once these spawners were gone, I was able to loot and get a ton of ores. I would actually get a full stack of diamonds, which is crazy. I would now be able to finish my max level beacon. Here you go, inside this chest, 5 diamonds already. And doing this one-handed, can you imagine double netherite sword? That will be crazy, and we're about to see it, don't you worry. I kept on fighting now down the tower as I encountered more and more diamonds. Like I said, full stack of diamonds. And here is where things got a bit serious and it got a lot of fun. So I would bust out the double sword to take on these endless hordes of mobs. And as you can see, it was absolutely crazy. I would cut through with all of these very cool attacks and just do so much damage. It was a lot of fun, guys, especially with golden apples. I would just go at it non-stop. Here's where the mod pack shines. I couldn't imagine facing so many enemies in vanilla Minecraft. It would be so tedious, but here I could use my power to just cut through these crowds. This is also the first time I think I've ever played third-person Minecraft and the first time on my channel, and I'm telling you that there's no other way I'd rather play survival than this. It's honestly one of the best mods in Minecraft. Day 92, how many mobs do you think I killed in this one building? Because after all of this, I only gained 1 skill point, believe it or not. Here was now the final level. I jumped down into this massive crowd of mobs. Again, the spawning system was kind of broken and the mobs kept spawning endlessly. This time I decided just to hop out of the tower. I wasn't going to be able to defeat that, and as I was leaving, I found that dragon's nest for the dragon I defeated earlier. Time was running out, so I raced back home and jumped straight into the nether. 2 days I would spend looking for quartz to finish up that roof, and at this point I was getting kind of upset when I was finding netherite because quartz was a lot rarer than I thought, but somehow netherite was everywhere. I mean, just look at the amount that I mined out. The size of this cavity is absolutely huge, and this is only one section. After that, back in the overworld, I deposited all of the netherrack just to show you how much I had been mining, all of that quartz in my inventory as well. I continued building out the roof, and it was so satisfying to see this come together. A full quartz house, can you believe it? I actually would do this, but unfortunately, it still wasn't enough to finish out the roof. I would have to make another trip, but in the meantime, I cleared out an area behind my house in order to make that beacon. I would first need to craft a new netherite shovel with max level enchantments, of course. Gotta use up that XP. This is the perfect example of why I waited until the very end to build my house, because if I did it at the beginning, like in my other 100 days video, it would take me about 40 days, but here I'm doing it in just 20, this massive mansion. Here I gathered up some stone in order to make a new floor behind my house, but before I did that, I ranked up my katana and added power 5 to my diamond bow. Then I went back and used the wizard staff to place down a bunch of stone in the back, almost killing myself because of course I didn't have enough XP, so it used up part of my health. Black magic. Either way, now I was going to add some redstone creations into my house, just some doors, a hipster doorway. Using some of the redstone items that I found in the cavern, I would be able to easily create a simple 2x1 hipster doorway. I would do this on both sides of the house, allowing it to open simultaneously by connecting it up to one system. I would actually have a lot of fun doing this. I just love creating redstone smart houses, and if you guys love seeing this, check out my redstone house series. It's really awesome, and you're able to just do so much more in Minecraft when you have a cool house. But here I'm clearing out an area now to add in the inputs. I would just wing it based on the knowledge I have of redstone, creating a bunch of hoppers to create a hidden input on the inside and the outside. And here is a little preview of where I actually built that and me messing around with all of this cool redstone. I would really love to add in way more redstone like I did in my first 100 days video, but like I said, this was mainly fighting focus, but at this point, I'm just flexing my resources as well as my redstone skills. It's completely unnecessary, but what is necessary in Minecraft? Here we go, we have the doorways now working. I drop an item into the floor and both doorways open up. Very, very cool. Now it was time to build up the back of the house as well as the frame for the top, added in the glass, and then I added in this diorite towards the back because you guys could see just the amount, of course, I needed to finish up the back wall. It was going to be impossible on day 98. Now it was time to build up my beacon. The first layer was going to be made out of emeralds. Since I had so many, the next layer would be made out of gold, the next iron, and finally, just to flex on you even more, I would make the final layer out of pure diamond blocks. After making my beacon, I laid down those diamond blocks and bam, I placed it down to make a max level beacon here on day 98. Before the 100 days was over, I now had a max level beacon with full netherite and a max enchanted pickaxe. That wasn't edited. I was seriously eating through the terrain. I even had 9 diamond blocks and 36 emerald blocks left over. Then I continued now decorating the inside of my house. I would make it into an epic throne room with the skulls of dragons that I slain on the wall, including this massive level 5 dragon towards the back that I found a little bit earlier in the wilderness. I also added in some flames and then made a throne. I am a king after all. I would mess around with the decorations here on day 99 to day 101. I would not finish out this video until I had the perfect house. I went around exploring, getting all of the items that I needed to just make everything look good. All of the small tasks I was going to take care of. Reorganizing my chest, shearing all of those sheep because I just had to, and finally moving my bed over to my house on day 100. I finished up some decorations inside my house, headed outside to add in a few more, flattening out the terrain, and then going back to now add in a stained glass backing for my throne. Yes, I thought it would look much cooler, as well as I moved over some of that diorite to hide it a bit better. Now I removed the glass blocks and added glass panes and a carpet to complete the throne room. There you have it, guys. That was my 100 days of fantasy Minecraft. I wanted to do so much more. I didn't even get to the end or really explore the nether, but I had so much fun with this mod pack, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was such an amazing experience to make this, and I'm really hoping you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please take 1 second to crush that like button, subscribe to my channel to see more awesome videos. But anyways, this was Twiistz, and I'll see you all next time.